Hi, welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Figure we'll go to the phone since I just got done referring to President Obama as an Antichrist. Figure we better lower the temperature in the room. And I mean that in all seriousness. I mean it in a biblical sense. I mean it exactly as John meant it. If somebody goes out there, their message, their effort, their activity is against the message and the work of Jesus Christ, what does that make him? It makes them an Antichrist. We just saw in the book of Jeremiah what God is for, what Christ is for. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Now, Barack Obama does not respect that. He doesn't have reverence for that. He's not trying to provide protection in law for the babies that are being shaped in the wombs of their mothers. He's all for destroying them. He's for destroying them after they have been born. That makes him an Antichrist. And we know that God designed marriage. He defined marriage as a union of one man and one woman, and Christ affirmed it. In Matthew 19, Christ affirmed that marriage is the union of one man and one woman. That's not just an Old Testament thing. That's a New Testament thing. Christ affirming what we read in the book of Genesis. Now, Barack Obama doesn't believe that. He doesn't have regard for that. He doesn't have reverence for that. He doesn't have respect for the standard that Jesus himself set for marriage. So what does that make him? If Christ is for marriage as a union of one man and one woman, and Barack Obama is against it, what does that make Barack Obama? It makes him an Antichrist, somebody who is working against what Christ is for. Well, let's go to the phones, 888-589-8840. Let's go to Claire, Houston, Texas. Claire, you're on Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hi there. Well, as in a legal, let me emphasize legal immigrant.
Good for you.
I'm not going to get started on amnesty because, that just gets my blood boiling. I'm Canadian, and that's another thing, very conservative Canadian. Thankful to live in the greatest country in the world.
Amen to that.
So sad to see this country turning like the country that I left. And one of the reasons I left it, the medical system is garbage. It's scary. People who have ever had to deal with a government employee, you really want to be at the mercy of a nurse who works for the government? Let me tell you, it's not good. It's not good at all. And this country has no clue. There's three types of people in this country that vote Democrat: homosexuals, lazy, and ignorant. And I'm just so tired of seeing people just lay down and take what's given to them and take it. Why isn't anybody fighting this? Why is everyone laying back and taking it? It's so frustrating.
Well, it is, Claire, and I think that's a part of what we were reading about in the book of Jeremiah. I mean, the reason this has happened is we have let this happen because we've been silent when we should have spoken. We just we've taken this, we've rolled over, we've held our tongues, we've capitulated, we have conceded, we have compromised, we have yielded, we have backed down, we have backed away, and now we've allowed the adversaries of everything we believe in to control the field of play. Look what they're trying to do to the Boy Scouts. And that's why I think, the lesson of Dr. Carson is so powerful to me, is his willingness to speak truth to power. And, you look at that. We have that opportunity frequently. Speaking truth to power is simply telling the truth to somebody that's got more juice than we do.
Right.
It could be somebody in your environment, could be somebody in your extended family, but speaking the truth to them. And we don't have to be obnoxious about it. I'm not saying we will be obnoxious about it or belligerent or anything of that sort. Dr. Carson was very courteous and civil, but he was right up in Obama's grill telling him the truth. And that's what I think we need to do. And we got no time to lose on this, Claire. We got to start speaking the truth now while there's still something left to defend and protect and reclaim.
Exactly. And people need to start formulating ideas, protest, fight this this abomination of Obamacare. Fight it, because it's not. I have an 85-year-old grandfather right now sitting in his apartment with an aneurysm to his heart, hoping to get a CAT scan by March. He's been waiting for 2 months now. It could burst at any time and kill him.
Well, even Democrats now are starting to get nervous about Obamacare. They're joining with Republicans to repeal this medical device tax. There's a medical device company, a global medical company. They had to lay off 100 people in the U.S., and they placed the blame squarely on Obamacare and this increase in the medical device tax. And now Democrats are so spooked by this that they're joining with Republicans. You get 40% of the House now is ready to repeal this medical device tax. This is an outfit by the name of Smith and Nephew. They laid off 100 employees between two offices just last week. You got a company, Stryker, back in November. They said they're going to cut 1,200 jobs, 5% of their workforce, because of the increased cost. They expect this medical device tax is going to cost up to 43,000 jobs, and it'll make the cost of every medical device, whether you're talking about a tongue depressor or a wheelchair or a prosthetic leg or an artificial knee, is going to cost a lot more. So I'm with you on that, Claire, and it's just a shame. Even Paul Krugman was out there yesterday saying, look, yeah, we got to have death panels. I mean, he used the term. We have to have death panels, because if the government's going to make all these decisions, then they get to decide who is going to get treatment and what kind of procedures they can get. It's no longer in the hands of you and your family and your medical doctor. Now some bureaucrat in a cubicle. One of the problems they're having, Claire, and then I'll let you have the last word here, but one of the problems that they're having is they can't get anybody to serve on these death panels. They're trying to recruit people to serve on these death panels, and nobody wants to do it. It's a completely thankless job, and no medical professional, because medical professionals go into medicine to help people. And the whole point of this independent payment advisory board is to cut people off at the knees. Tell them, no, you can't have that. Barack Obama saying you just got to go home and give your grandmother a pill and just let her die in her bed. We're not going to give her any help. She's too old for that. Just give her a pill and let her die. I mean, that's what happens, and nobody wants to be a part of that that's in the medical community, because they're in it to help people. Anyway, Claire, I've been rambling on here. Last word.
I love listening to you. I get your updates on Facebook. Thank you so much. One quick thing, if they're taking over the medical industry, just wait. They're going to go for the auto insurance. They're going to go for the power. They're going to go for the water. They're going to take it all over. I'm telling you right now. Canadian speaking, so I know what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right, Claire. Well, listen, I appreciate that. And, you look at the fact that they've got a part of Obamacare is this calorie count thing. It has nothing to do with health care. Zero. You have to list the calorie count of every item on your menu in your restaurant, and they're telling grocery stores they've got to do the same thing. And they say, we can't afford it. We cannot afford to do this. This is all the stuff that's not packaged. If it's prepackaged, then there's going to be calorie counts on there. You can look at the label, and it'll tell you how many servings and how many calories per serving and all that. But if it's unlabeled, if it's loose, if it's just apples in a bin, or if it's heads of lettuce or whatever, then it's not going to have that kind of labeling on it. And Obamacare is making them do it. And I've had friends that have run grocery stores. The profit margin is 1 to 2%. They just do not have the margin to be able to absorb the additional cost. So when Claire says, look, they're going to try to take over your whole life, they're already doing it through Obamacare. That's the wedge that they're using to control our entire lives. Now you got Mayor Bloomberg out in New York. He's saying you can't even have styrofoam cups. You not only can't have a Coke that's more than 16 ounces, you can't put it in a styrofoam cup. And they're the ones that accuse us of being the blue noses and the Victorians and the prudes and all of that kind of thing. They are more legalistic than we ever even thought of being. Let's go to Ron, Conway, Arkansas. Ron, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Thank you. On things that you can buy and can't buy, did you hear this morning with the school that didn't unplug their Coke machine during lunch hour got fined $1,000?
Well, I can believe it, because that's the deal. A lot of people don't know that.
Now.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but schools can have Coke machines, but they got to be turned off during the lunch hour. And if it's plugged in where a kid can go get it, there's going to be a fine, and apparently it's happened. Anyway, go ahead, Ron.
Okay, but anyway, on Dr. Carson, at about 11:30 last night, Star Parker sent that to me on the computer, and I looked at it, and I was so impressed. I wasn't sleepy anymore after that. I went to the bedroom. I got my wife. I said, get out of bed. I want you to come and listen to this. And we sat there, and I listened to it the second time. She listened to it. She thanked me for getting her out of bed.
That's good stuff.
You can Google that. If you're those in your audience out there, you can Google Dr. Ben Carson, Prayer Breakfast, YouTube.
Yeah, it'll pop right up.
It will, and I encourage all of your listeners, listen to that. Get someone and sit down and and enjoy it with you.
Yeah. All right, great. Listen, I appreciate the call, Ron, very much. And that is, it's about 27 minutes worth. It is worth every single solitary minute. Let's go to Steve, Manning, South Carolina. Steve, you're on Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, you bet.
I've got a theory that I want to tell you, and I'm trusting you to, I may be way off base, but I'm trusting you to tell me if I am.
All right.
I'm sure you agree that this country and even this world has been begging for God's wrath for a long time.
Well, we certainly merit his wrath. There's no question about that.
Yes, sir. My preacher told me that if God didn't bring his wrath down on this country soon, he was going to owe Sodom and Gomorrah an apology.
That's a true fact.
But I think that his wrath has already been brought down on this country, and I think the instrument of that wrath is Barack Obama.
Well, you know, we get what we deserve. We get what we choose. And God's wrath, if you look at Romans chapter 1, where it says the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against sin, it becomes very clear as you read through the rest of Romans chapter 1, the way that the wrath of God is revealed against the people is he lets them have what they want. You know,
Exactly.
God gave them over to sexual immorality. God gave them over to homosexual impulses. God gave them over to a depraved mind. He just said, I'm going to let you have what you want. I'm going to take my hands off. I'm not going to restrain you anymore. I'm going to let you have what you insist on having, and you will have to reap the bitter fruit of what you yourself have chosen. And so I think our caller's right. Part of the wrath of God that's being poured out on the United States, being experienced by the United States, is the fact that we as a people have chosen Barack Obama to be our president. We chose the man that gave us Obamacare. Therefore, we have to live with the consequences of that choice. That's the wrath of God taking his hands off, saying, you insisted on this. You can have it. You might have to choke on it, but it's your choice. You have to reap what you have sown. Focal Point AFR Talk. We'll be back after the news. Don't go anywhere. Focal Point AFR Talk.